particular spot. Now, there are about 4 things you can do. If you don't want to land here, you can land short, which means you got to pitch up and slow down. Then you lose sight of where you're going. That's not so good. Now, suppose you want to land over here. Now, the low gravity of the moon means you got to go like this, and then like that, and it's pretty disturbing to make that change. So the easiest thing to do is to just pitch forward, fly over, land on the other side. The only trouble is it uses 10, 20 seconds more to do that. But that's what we did. Nice and smooth.
All right, now,
Touchdown, 10 seconds. No, 30 seconds. 10 feet above the ground. The engine could have quit. It had been a hard landing. But there's also an abort button and abort stage. Abort the descent stage and the ascent stage liftoff. Abort stage, use stage, leave the descent stage behind.
the landing was smooth. When you hit, you barely touched.
Right, it was very smooth.
So you were then what was then called the loneliest man in the history of the world, because you were by yourself going around the backside of the moon, and it was said at the time that you were worried that maybe you would have to return without the other 2 astronauts. Was that a real worry of yours, or that's what reporters said?
No, that's a real worry. I mean, I had a lot of real worries. I'm not sure what number on the list that one was. But it was certainly the one with the worst implications that I could think of. For one thing, I didn't worry about Neil landing. We had a lot of information about the area in which he was flying. I'd flown with Neil enough to know he was smooth as glass. He had wonderful judgment. I won't say that what he did was a piece of cake. It was difficult, but I knew that he could do it and would do it well. It was the coming back up that worried me.
Well, you were on the backside of the moon. You were out of touch with all communication. Nobody was with you. Was that a little lonely or scary, or?
Oh, it was very peaceful and restful. I enjoyed it. I mean, this was my home, Columbia. It was a big thing.
But half
It's
the
like
time,
from here to
half the
there.
time, he did have to talk to somebody
All right, when you got,
on the Earth side half the time.
all right, when you landed, you were then supposed to go to sleep for 8 hours or something. But you guys decided to change it. Was that easy to decide to do that? To go right out of the moon then?
Okay. It has an interesting aspect to clarify that, so
Okay.
glad you mentioned that. Had we had some difficulty, and we were kind of tired, and we landed, there are 2 things you can do after you land. You can go outside, or you can sleep. So how are you going to put those in the flight plan? Well, if you put in there, we'll go outside first, and then you get tired before you make the landing, and you land, and now you ask Mission Control, can you move that going out, please? We want to sleep first. That makes things worse. So we didn't want it to sound bad. So we put the sleep period first. Now, Mission Control knew, we knew, everybody else knew that if things went fine, we landed. One of the first things we would do is, we don't want to sleep, let's go outside. Okay, so that's what we did.
Okay. So when you, go ahead.
But then a little later, when we came back in, they're skipping over all the outside things. We came back in and we found something wrong. The circuit breaker was broken. It's the engine arm circuit breaker. That's the one that's pulled out. Until you get ready to land, then you push it in, and you make a landing. you land, you pull it out. Because the ascent engine has to have it in to come home. So now this is the circuit breaker that's broken off. It's a big panel, and the rows and rows, and very fine Phillips said, we didn't have a screwdriver to get back there and figure out what the problem was. So we told Houston, we missed that great line. Houston, you got a problem. But anyway, so they said, well, we've got some guys down here who will look over what the situation may be, what we might possibly be able to do to get electrical power to the ascent stage. So when the computer says lift off, you can lift off. Okay? Since we won't mess around with doing anything with the circuit breaker right now, we're going to look at the systems. So we got these guys working on it. So you guys just go to sleep up there. We'll let you know in the morning. Now, I don't know what you think you'd have done if you were up there and you got a big problem, but the guys back here say, just go to sleep up there, we'll fix the problem. I looked at Neil and I could see that it didn't really register on him either. So I didn't want to make a big thing about it, but when you play the tapes back, the radio tapes, and you see this going back, and then somebody says, hey, you guys just go to sleep up there, we'll let you know in the morning whether we've solved the problem.
You ultimately just used the pen that you had to fix it, is that right?
Well, in the morning, they said, hey, we got bad news for you. We couldn't figure out how to fix it. So you're just going to have to try and push it in. And I looked at my little finger, and there's electricity behind there, you know. But I got a ballpoint pen. No, that's not too good either. There's electricity there. Oh, yeah, I got a felt tip pen.
Okay.
Felt tip pen. So I used that 2 hours before launch. Pushed that in, mission control says, hey, we got power. We're going. Worked. Then we got to the countdown and
Worked out. So
worked out.
how many times were you circling the moon when they were down there? How many times did you go around?
No, there were times when I thought it was too many times.
Were you in Houston or talking to them on the moon, or both?
Both. I talked to them. They talked their full head off.
So when you're going around the moon by yourself,
I'm sorry?
when you're going around the moon by yourself and you're sleeping,
Yes.
isn't it kind of nerve-wracking that you're the only person there and anything could go bad and somebody wake you up?
No, you know, right after the flight, when we were put in quarantine, we were debriefed by the press through this pane of glass, and over I kept being asked, "What, you're the loneliest person in the whole lonely universe, and you're in lonely orbit around the lonely moon? Wasn't you terribly lonely?" Dear God, no. I had a happy home. I had hot coffee. I had music if I wanted to turn the thermostat to 72 degrees. It was a commodious, well laid out, lovely, beautiful little home, and I enjoyed it.
Did they leave a mess for you and you had to clean it up when they were not there, or they were pretty neat?
I don't talk about that.
So when you're going to go you're landing on the moon, you walk off. Did Neil say to you, guess what? I have a couple possible first words. What do you think of these? Or he just came up with that, or did you know what he was going to say? And what did you say when you went on the moon?
Well, on the way there, it seems to me, I remember command module pilot asking Neil, hey Neil, when you get there, have you thought about what you're going to say? Remember that?
No, I don't.
I don't know. When I get there, I'll think of something.
Sounds like Neil.
No, it doesn't. This guy thinks ahead.